I stand frozen in the corner of Leah's engagement party, my hands gripping the stem of a champagne glass, watching the scene unfold like I'm not even part of it, like I'm standing outside of my own body, just watching. The Willamette Valley. Vineyard Estate glows golden in the late afternoon sun. That kind of light that photographers call magic hour, where even the smallest detail looks dreamy and perfect. The sunlight bounces off crystal glasses filled with champagne, scattering tiny rainbows across the polished wooden tables. It should feel magical, but to me, it feels staged, like a picture-perfect scene masking something rotten underneath. Beside me, Ethan, my husband, squeezes my hand. He knows me too well. He knows these family gatherings always cost me something, though I try to smile and pretend otherwise. Across the room, my father, Graham Harper, taps his silver spoon against his glass. The delicate chime silences the crowd instantly, just like his commanding voice always silences boardrooms and family. Dinners alike. Friends, colleagues, loved ones, he begins, his voice carrying that deep timbre that always demands respect. Vivian and I couldn't be prouder to celebrate Leah's engagement to James tonight. Leah stands beside her fiancé, James, her whole face glowing with excitement. At 29, my younger sister still has that sparkle of wide-eyed anticipation I lost somewhere in my 30s. The guests lean forward, hanging on my father's words. My mother, Vivian Harper, stands gracefully beside him, her diamond earrings catching every flicker of light as she beams at Leah with unshakable pride. Then, my father's voice warms even further. "But we have another announcement to make tonight," he says, pausing just long enough for suspense. As a wedding gift to our daughter Leah, Vivian and I are giving her 15% ownership in Harper Logistics. The air leaves my lungs in a silent rush. 15%. My mother steps forward, her manicured hand resting on his arm as if to frame the announcement. "The paperwork was finalized last week," she says sweetly, almost smugly. "This 15% stake is valued at over $1.2 million. The room erupts in applause. Glasses clink, heads nod approvingly. Business associates beam, clearly impressed. Family friends exchange whispers, amazed by the generosity, and me. I stand frozen with a smile carved onto my face, pretending my world hasn't just shifted off its axis. My husband's grip tightens, grounding me, but also reminding me he feels the sting too. Leah rushes into my arms, smelling of expensive perfume, her voice bubbling over with excitement. "Can you believe it?" she whispers. "I never expected anything like this. Congratulations," I manage to say, my voice even, my smile convincing. I've had years of practice hiding the hurt. My parents accept praise from the guests. My father clasps James' shoulder, welcoming him not just as a son-in-law, but clearly as a future partner in the family empire. The implications hang in the air, unspoken but unmistakable. A memory surfaces sharp and sudden. My own wedding, 7 years ago. The gift my parents had given Ethan and me, a kitchen appliance, a coffee maker. My mother had said, "You'll need this for work," as though that was the proper gift for her firstborn daughter. No shares, no mention of inheritance, just the expectation that I'd make my own way. Later, as the party winds down, Leah posts on her social media, "Officially a millionaire, blessed family business." The words sting deeper than I expect. The thunder rolling in the distance seems almost poetic, as if the storm outside is echoing the storm inside me. Ethan catches my eye, steady and understanding. My voice comes out low, but certain. "This ends tonight." For the first time in years, I mean it. The ballroom is nearly empty 3 hours later. Crystal glasses lie abandoned, lipstick stains marking the edges. Gift wrappings scatter across the floor like confetti. Only our family remains, the 5 of us suspended in the golden afterglow of a celebration that feels anything but equal. Leah stands by the window, holding her framed share certificate against the light. Tracing her name with one manicured fingertip, James hovers near her, phone in hand, probably calculating what this windfall means for their future. I sit stiffly, in a high-backed chair, my spine rigid. Ethan rests a hand on my shoulder, his thumb drawing soft, steady circles that remind me I'm not alone. My father exhales with satisfaction. "A wonderful evening," he announces. "Couldn't have gone better." The words snap something loose inside me. Calm, almost a calm, I ask. Why don't I get the same? The champagne glass halts halfway to my mother's lips. "What?" "The shares," I say evenly. "Why doesn't your firstborn daughter receive 15%? 2. Mother sets her glass down carefully. "Maya, don't be ridiculous. You have a successful career. You don't need shares." "The need isn't the point," I counter, folding my hands in my lap to hide the trembling. "The fairness is father's." Jaw tightens. The transfer is done. Legal, finalized. Don't stir up trouble. Just be happy for your sister. But I can't swallow this anymore. My memories spill forward. I gave up my college fund so Leah could attend Westridge Academy. I moved into the smallest bedroom so she could have an art studio. I worked 3 jobs through college while she had full financial support. That was different, my mother snaps. Leah needed more help to succeed. "You were always so independent, so capable." "Being capable shouldn't mean being punished for it," I say quietly. Father's face darkens further. "We made choices we thought best for both of you." This conversation is inappropriate and ungrateful. Ungrateful. That word tastes bitter. In my mouth. For 33 years, I've swallowed every disappointment, accepted every excuse, watched every dollar and opportunity funnel toward Leah while I made my own way. Ethan's hand tightens protectively on my shoulder. "If this is final," he says firmly, "then at least respect Maya's feelings." Acknowledgement costs nothing. Mother's eyes glisten with tears right on cue. "We've always treated you both equally. How can you say otherwise?" A hollow laugh escapes me. "Name one time. Just one time when Leah didn't come first." "Enough," my father warns. "This ends now. Drop it or leave." A strange lightness fills me as I stand, unfastening the silver bracelet my grandmother gave me on my 16th birthday. For a moment, the weight of it sits in my palm before I set it gently on the table. I won't be the family afterthought anymore. Ethan rises with me, his presence solid and unshakable. We turn toward the door together. My sister's voice breaks the silence. "Maya, please, you're overreacting." Her confusion is real, her voice raw. She doesn't see it. She never has. None of them do. I pause in the doorway, looking back. At the people who raised me, the people who shaped me, and the people who never truly saw me. When was the last time you celebrated my accomplishments? Did you know I'm up for a patent that could transform cybersecurity? That I was promoted last month? That Ethan and I are considering starting our own company? Their blank faces answer for them. "I thought so," I whisper. Then louder, "Congratulations, Leah, on your engagement and your inheritance." Outside, the night air wraps around me, cool and steady. The first drops of rain hit my shoulders. As we walk to the car, for the first time in my life, I've chosen myself. The rain follows us home that night. Heavy drops streak the windshield as Ethan drives, the wipers struggling to keep up. The silence between us is thick, but not uncomfortable. It's the kind of silence that comes after something irreversible, when words feel too small to capture. What's shifting inside you? I lean my head against the cool window, watching the lights blur past. For years, I've accepted this imbalance, rationalized it, told myself it was just family dynamics. But tonight stripped away the last excuse. The truth is sharp and undeniable. My parents didn't forget me by accident. They chose to overlook me, again and again. And tonight, they made it permanent, in writing, with contracts and shares. Ethan reaches over, resting his hand on mine. His touch is steady, grounding. "How are you holding up?" A bitter laugh escapes before I can stop it. I don't even know. Angry, hurt, weirdly, relieved, too. Relieved, too. Relieved. He asks gently. "Yeah," I say slowly, surprising myself. Because it's out in the open now. No more pretending. No more hoping they'll treat me the same one day. They showed me exactly where I stand. He nods, his profile illuminated by the dashboard lights. "So, what do you want to do about it?" That's the question, isn't it? For so long, my life has been about reacting. Reacting to my parents' choices. Reacting to Leah's endless opportunities. Reacting to being overlooked. But now, the decision is mine. For the first time, the power feels like it's in my hands. The next morning, I wake earlier than usual. The storm has passed, leaving the world washed clean. Sunlight streams through the blinds, sharp and golden. I sit at the kitchen counter with a steaming mug of coffee, staring at the stack of journals and research files piled on the table. My life's work, sitting there, waiting. Ethan joins me, hair tousled, still in his worn t-shirt. "You didn't sleep much, did you?" "Barely," I admit. "I kept thinking about last night, about everything." He takes a sip of his coffee, watching me carefully. "And I'm done playing small," I say, my voice firmer than I expected. "I've spent years letting them define me by what they didn't give me. But I have something bigger. My work, my ideas, my independence." Ethan smiles faintly. "That's the Maya I know." I flip open my notebook, the one filled with drafts of the patent I've been developing for months. It's a system that could revolutionize data security, safer, and nearly impossible to breach. My company doesn't fully see its potential. Yet, my parents definitely don't. But I do. For years, I wanted recognition from them. Now, I realize I don't need it. What I need is to build something so undeniable they can never ignore it again. The days that follow are a blur of work, research, and planning. Ethan becomes my sounding board, listening patiently as I sketch diagrams, draft proposals, and refine. My pitch. We spend late nights at the dining table, laptops open, the room lit only by the warm glow of the pendant light above us. At one point, Ethan looks up from his notes. "You know, Maya, this isn't just an idea. This could be a company. Our company." The words hit me like a spark. Our company. For so long, I've been tangled in the shadow of Harper Logistics, convinced my path had to align with theirs, somehow. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe my path can be completely separate. What would we even call it? I ask softly, almost testing. The idea aloud, he grins. Something bold. Something that says strength, freedom. I nod slowly, letting the thought take root. A future that doesn't revolve around my parents. A business built on my vision, not theirs. Still, the hurt lingers. At night, when the house is quiet, my mind drifts back to Leah's smile, to my parents' pride, to the applause that filled that golden vineyard ballroom. I replay their words, their dismissals, ungrateful, inappropriate, drop it or leave. The more I remember, the sharper my resolve grows. I start journaling each night, pouring every memory, every slight, every moment of being overlooked onto paper. Not to wallow, but to see it clearly, to remind myself I'm not imagining things, that this imbalance has been there all along. One entry sticks with me, age 14. Gave up my slot in the summer science camp so Leah could attend her art retreat. Age 19, parents used my college savings to cover Leah's tuition. Age 26, my promotion. Barely acknowledged, while Leah's gallery showing had a full family dinner. Reading it back feels like staring at a ledger of debts unpaid, Not financial debts, but emotional ones. Years of sacrifices I made, willingly at first, foolishly later, until they became expected. A week after the engagement party, Leah calls. Her voice is hesitant, careful, like she knows she's walking across a minefield. "Maya, can we talk?" she asks. I hesitate, but agree. We meet at a quiet cafe downtown, away from the vineyard, away from the family house. She arrives in her usual effortless style, soft curls, chic blazer, the air of someone who has always been taken care of. She hugs me tightly, too tightly, like she's trying to close the gap between us with sheer force. "I've been worried about you," she says. That I pull back, studying her face. She looks genuinely concerned, and yet a part of me bristles. "Why now?" I ask quietly. Her eyes dart away. "Because I don't want this to come between us. The shares, I mean. I didn't ask for them." I nod, though my chest tightens. "You didn't have to ask. That's the point," she winces. "Maya, I know it's not fair, but maybe Mom and Dad just thought you deserved more," I cut in. My voice is calm, not cruel, but it lands heavy between us. She bites her lip, her silence saying more than words could. For years, I believed Leah was innocent in all this, but now I see it differently. She may not have created the imbalance, but she benefited from it. She never questioned it, never refused it, never once said, "What about Maya?" "I'm not angry with you," I say softly, "but I can't keep pretending this doesn't hurt. I can't keep pretending I don't matter." Her eyes shine with tears. "So what happens now?" I stir my coffee slowly, letting the silence stretch. "Now, I build something that's mine, something no one can take away." That night, I tell Ethan about the conversation. He listens, nodding, then says something that stays with me. "You've spent your whole life being reactive. It's time to be proactive. Time to write your own story." The words echo in my mind long after he's asleep. Write my own story. Yes, that's it. That's the shift I've been waiting for. I pull out my notebook again, flipping to a clean page. At the top, I write 3 words in bold letters. Project Phoenix Rising. Because that's what this feels like. Rising from ashes I didn't ask for, but ashes all the same. The moment the velvet cloth slipped from the portrait, the room inhaled as one. A collective gasp rippled through the ballroom, followed by a hush of reverent approval. Aurora glowed in the center of the canvas, draped in light like a saint. Father stood proud, his gaze fixed outward, Mother radiant at his side. And there, in the far left corner, half lost in shadow, was me, a smear, an afterthought. The applause came next, polite at first, then swelling as guests leaned toward one another, nodding, whispering, praising the artistry, the composition, the symbolism. I felt the blood roar in my ears. For a moment, I couldn't move. My body was frozen, caught between fury and despair. Then something inside me shifted. My pulse steadied. My breath slowed. The weight I'd carried for 32 years, the silence, the compliance, the obedience suddenly felt unbearable. And before I knew it, I was moving one step, then another. First, no one noticed. My heels clicked softly on the marble as I stepped out from the shadows at the back of the room. Conversations continued, champagne glasses clinked, and all eyes stayed locked on the radiant figure of Aurora. But then a murmur began, a ripple of heads turning, faces twisting with curiosity. Who was moving toward the front? Why was she stepping into the light? Aurora saw me first. Her smile faltered, though she forced it back, tighter now, her eyes narrowing with warning. Father stiffened, his hand tightening around his glass. Mother's hand, delicate and adorned with diamonds, froze mid-gesture. I stopped at the easel, the portrait towering beside me. My folder trembled in my hands, though my voice, when it came, was clear and steady. "Good evening," I said. The chatter softened. Guests leaned forward. "I know this wasn't on the program," I continued, my gaze sweeping the room. "But since we are here tonight to honor legacy, to unveil the truth of who we are as a family, I think it's time I said something." A nervous ripple moved through the audience. People glanced at each other, uncertain whether this was planned or a breach of decorum. Father stepped forward, his voice smooth, his smile fixed in place. "Celeste," he said, pitched just low enough for me to hear the warning. "This isn't your moment." I looked at him. For the first time in my life, I didn't look away. "It's exactly my moment." I turned back to the guests and lifted my folder. The papers inside rustled like wings. "This portrait," I said, gesturing to the canvas, "isn't just art. It's a message. It shows Aurora shining in the center, mother and father by her side, and me painted into the shadows, almost erased." Murmurs spread. A few guests craned their necks, studying the painting more carefully. Aurora let out a laugh, light and dismissive. "Celeste, you're overanalyzing. It's symbolic, an artistic choice. Don't turn this into drama." I opened the folder and drew out the first document. "Is it symbolism?" I asked, my voice steady, "when my name is omitted from a research paper I wrote?" Gasps fluttered through the crowd. I laid the page on the easel. I pulled another. "Is it symbolism when a press release credits medical initiatives to Aurora initiatives she never once participated in?" Another murmur. Guests glanced at Aurora, then back at me. I placed the second document beside the first. "The evidence building. This isn't just art. This is a pattern," I said, louder now, the tremor in my voice replaced by conviction. "A deliberate erasure, year after year, of my work, my voice, my very existence in this family story." The room fell into stunned silence. Father's smile snapped away. His jaw tightened, his voice sharp. "Enough. You're humiliating yourself." I gripped the folder tighter. "No, I have been humiliated my entire life. Tonight, I refuse." Aurora stepped forward, her golden gown shimmering under the chandeliers. "You're twisting things. Everyone here knows you've always been supported. Without this family's foundation, your little lab wouldn't even exist." I turned to her, my words cutting through the air. "My research exists in spite of this family." The audience gasped again, louder this time. Aurora's face drained. Of color, I pulled the final photo from my folder picture of my team gathered in the lab. Smiles wide, pride glowing in their eyes. I held it high. These are the people who dedicate their lives to discovery, to curing diseases, to pushing humanity forward. And yet our work is stripped of my name, erased from the narrative, because my family decided only one Montclair deserves to be remembered. I turned back to the portrait, to the shadowed version of myself painted into the background. My voice softened, but it carried just as strongly. No more. The silence cracked. Applause erupted, tentative at first, then stronger, swelling. As more and more guests joined, not everyone clapped. Some shifted uneasily, others whispered behind raised hands. But enough did. Enough for the sound to fill the room. I closed the folder. My heart pounded, but my spine was straight, my chin lifted. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shrinking. I wasn't apologizing. Aurora's smile was brittle now, her eyes sharp with fury. Father's face had darkened, a storm barely contained. Mother's eyes glistened, but I couldn't tell if it was from anger, shame, or something else entirely. I looked at the crowd, at the dozens of faces turned toward me. My words came not as a plea, but as a vow. I will no longer live as a shadow in someone else's portrait. If I am erased here, I will write myself elsewhere. If my name is stripped from this legacy, I will build my own. I paused, breath catching in my throat. Then I released it, steady and sure. I will not disappear. The applause rose again, louder, more insistent. A standing ovation from some corners of the room. Others clapped reluctantly, pressured by the momentum. But there was no mistaking it now. I was seen. The aftermath unfolded like cracks, splintering. Through glass, Father stormed off the stage, his voice low and venomous as he barked orders at staff. Aurora followed, her heels stabbing against the marble, her gown swirling like a flame behind her. Mother lingered, her hand pressed to her lips, her eyes flickering between me and the portrait, as though she couldn't decide which version of me was real. I remained where I was, standing tall beneath the chandelier's light, the folder pressed against my chest. The portrait loomed behind me, the Montclairs as they wanted to be seen. But the audience had witnessed something else tonight. The truth, later. Later, long after the guests had begun to leave, I stood alone in the empty ballroom. The staff cleared glasses and folded linen, their movements quiet, respectful. The portrait remained on the easel, my shadowed figure still trapped in its corner. But as I stared at it, I felt something shift. It no longer hurt in the same way, because tonight I had stepped into the light without their permission. And once you've stepped into the light, you can never truly go back. The first week of Project Phoenix Rising feels electric, almost like falling in love again. My notebooks are filled with diagrams, equations, lists of contacts, and half-baked sketches that spill into the margins. The dining table becomes my command center. Every morning starts with coffee, sunlight cutting across the pages. Ethan's voice steady beside me as we map out the impossible. We don't have investors yet. We don't even have a company name outside of the one scribbled in my journal. But we have an idea, a strong one, a system that could reshape how cybersecurity works. Faster encryptions, smarter algorithms, defense that doesn't just react, but predicts. For weeks, I had treated it as an academic pursuit, a project to impress my superiors at work. Now, it's becoming something larger, something alive. Ethan handles the business side, reaching out to people he knows from his consulting days, drawing up spreadsheets, calculating startup costs. I focus on the technical side, coding late into the night, testing prototypes, scribbling notes when the ideas come faster than I can type. We trade off encouragement like oxygen. This is insane. I whisper one night at 2 a.m. when my eyes blur from staring at code too long. Insane. Ethan agrees, but in the best way. Of course, reality sets in quickly. Dreams are easy. Execution is brutal. The first investor meeting ends in polite smiles and soft rejections. Interesting concept, one says, but too risky. Too early. Another leans back in his leather chair, shaking his head. Security is saturated. Why should I bet on you? Walking back to the car afterward, I feel my chest hollow out. The sting of rejection feels uncomfortably familiar, like echoes of my parents' dismissals. Ungrateful, inappropriate, drop it or leave. Ethan notices, of course. Maya, he says firmly, this doesn't mean we're wrong. It just means they don't see it yet. You've been underestimated before, and you proved them wrong every time. His faith steadies me, but still, that night, I cry quietly in the bathroom. Not because of the investors, because the old wound of being unseen never really heals. Weeks pass, we adjust. We refine, we pitch again. This time, we bring diagrams, simulations, hard numbers. A small local venture group agrees to fund a fraction of what we asked for. It's not much, but it's enough to build a minimal product, enough to prove we're real. The day we get the email, Ethan grabs me around the waist and spins me in the kitchen until we're both dizzy with laughter. They said yes, he shouts. holding me close. It's not the Vineyard Ballroom. There are no crystal glasses or applause. Just 2 mugs of coffee, a messy kitchen counter, and a dream. But it feels better than anything my parents ever handed out as gifts, because this we earned ourselves. Our apartment becomes a battlefield of sticky notes, wires, and endless cups of coffee. Some nights we collapse on the couch, too tired to talk. Other nights we stay up until dawn, adrenaline carrying us through. Another breakthrough. Ethan jokes that we should get a neon sign for the wall. No sleep, just code. Still, exhaustion has a price. There are arguments, sharp words thrown across the room when stress peaks. One night, after 12 straight hours debugging, I snap. If you think you can do it better, then you write the code. Ethan fires back. If you'd just explain instead of shutting me out, maybe I could help. The silence after hangs. Heavy, but unlike my family's silences, this one ends in apology, not dismissal. We sit on the floor, backs against the couch, and talk it through. Because unlike with them, with Ethan, I'm not invisible. Meanwhile, the Harper family world spins on, golden and untouched. Leah's wedding planning fills social media feeds. My parents beam in every photo, her fiancé Jim's always at her side. There are tastings, dress fittings, bridal showers, all with captions like family first and so blessed. I don't attend. Not because I wasn't invited, but because I can't stomach the theatre. The same script playing out again. With Leah as the star dot instead, I pour my energy into Phoenix Rising. And slowly, quietly, things begin to shift. Our prototype works. Our first client signs Anna, a small financial firm, desperate for stronger protection after a security breach. When their system holds up against our tests, I almost cry with relief. Ethan grins at me across the glowing screens. Told you. They'll see. Word spreads faster than I expect. A second client calls, then a third. Nothing huge, just small contracts, modest checks, but each one proof that we're building something real. Proof that I don't need Harper logistics to define my worth, but the Harper name finds its way back into my orbit anyway. One evening, as I'm reviewing data logs, my phone buzzes. A message from Leah. Dad mentioned your project today. He seemed surprised. My stomach knots. For years, my parents barely asked about my work. Suddenly, they're talking about it. The next week, my father calls. His voice is warm, almost too warm. Maya, I hear you and Ethan are doing something interesting. Cybersecurity, is it? Yes, I say cautiously. Good, good, we should talk. Perhaps there are ways to align. Your work with Harper Logistics. The words feel like bait. Alignment, integration, translation. Let us fold your work into ours, so it becomes part of our empire. My throat tightens, but my voice stays even. Thank you, Dad, but right now, we're focusing on our own path. A pause, then the familiar steel edges his tone. Be careful, Maya. Independence is admirable, but partnerships build strength. Don't burn bridges you'll need later. I hang up, feeling both shaken and strangely proud. For the first time, I didn't bend at night, when the world is quiet. Ethan and I talk about the future, not in vague daydreams, but in concrete plans. We map out scaling strategies. We sketch out office spaces, dream of hiring a small team. Sometimes I let myself imagine more, standing on a stage at a tech conference, unveiling our product, seeing my name in headlines not as Graham Harper's daughter, but as Maya Harper, founder. Other times, the fear creeps in. What if it all collapses? What if I've just walked away from the only family I'll ever have, and the business fails, leaving me with nothing? Ethan always sees it on my face before I say a word. You're not alone, he whispers in the dark. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. The months roll by. Phoenix Rising grows. Slowly, steadily, but undeniably. Each success feels like fuel, feeding the fire that had been smothered for so long. Then an email arrives. An invitation. Not from my parents this time, but from a regional tech summit. They want me to present our prototype. I stare at the screen for a long time, my heart pounding. This is it. A chance to stand on a stage of my own, not as someone's daughter or someone's afterthought, but as myself. When I tell Ethan, he breaks into the widest grin I've ever seen. Maya, this is your moment. The night before the summit, nerves eat at me. I pace the living room, rehearsing my words, second-guessing every slide. Ethan finally pulls me onto the couch, pressing my hands between his. You're ready? You've always been ready. They just didn't see it before. But tomorrow they will. And for the first time, I believe him. The applause still echoed in my ears, hours after the unveiling ended. I could feel it in my chest as I walked the long corridor back to my suite, folder tucked under my arm. The Montclair mansion felt different tonight. Its marble halls, always so polished and silent, seemed alive with whispers. Staff avoided my eyes, guests lingered in corners, voices low, as if afraid to be caught taking sides, and I knew why. The fracture had begun. Father had stormed out first, Aurora at his side, fury in her footsteps. Mother lingered longer, but when I finally left the ballroom, she was gone too. I hadn't seen them since Dot, until now. I reached my door and froze. A shadow moved inside my suite, just visible through the crack beneath the door. My heart clenched. Slowly, I pushed it open. Aurora stood by my desk, rifling through my papers. My laptop was open, its glow spilling across her face. Aurora? My voice was low, dangerous. She spun around, startled, but recovering quickly. Her smile was sharp, her eyes blazing. You've really outdone yourself tonight, haven't you? Public humiliation, grand speeches, applause. For once, you stole the spotlight. Bravo, I shut. The door behind me, my pulse quickening. What are you doing here? She lifted a flash drive, twirling it between her fingers. Cleaning up your mess. You think your little rebellion makes you powerful? It doesn't. It makes you vulnerable. You've got years of data, of research, on that laptop. Imagine if it suddenly disappeared, or worse if it suddenly turned up published under my name. A chill ran through me, but I forced my voice to stay calm. You wouldn't dare. Aurora stepped closer, her heels clicking softly against the hardwood. Wouldn't I? You embarrassed Father tonight. You made him look weak. Do you know what that means? Do you know what happens to people who cross him? He'll cut you off completely. No funding, no support, no place in this family. You'll be nothing. I met her gaze. Steady now. I'd rather be nothing than a shadow. Her smile faltered, just slightly. You think you're stronger than me, Celeste? You think you can stand against this family? She hissed. Everything. You are, everything you've built, it all comes from us. Without Montclair, you don't exist. I stepped closer, our faces inches apart. You're wrong. Without Montclair, I finally do. Her eyes blazed, her hand tightening around the flash drive. For a moment, I thought she might actually smash the laptop, burn everything down. But then a voice broke the silence. Enough. We both turned. Mother stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Her gown from the gala still shimmered faintly in the dim light. Aurora straightened instantly, her tone switching to sweetness. Mother, she's Mother's hand lifted, silencing her. Slowly, she stepped into the room, her gaze flicking from Aurora to me. Do you think I don't see what's happening? She said quietly. Do you think I haven't watched this play out for years? Aurora blinked, confused. But Mother didn't look at her. She looked at me. Her voice softened, almost breaking. I saw you tonight, Celeste. For the first time, I saw you. Something inside me cracked at those words. The little girl in me, the one who had always looked for her mother's eyes, for recognition, for a shred of love, stirred painfully. Aurora's face twisted, outrage burning through her. You're taking her side. After everything, she humiliated us. Mother turned to her, her tone sharper now. No, she told the truth. And if the truth humiliates us, perhaps it should. Aurora's mouth fell open, speechless. Mother looked back at me, her voice trembling. You don't need to fight us anymore, Celeste. Not for your name, not for your work. Walk away. Build your own world. Don't let us destroy you. My throat tightened. For years I had dreamed of hearing words like these, but they felt both too late and exactly what I needed. Aurora was shaking her head, furious. You can't mean this. You can't just let her mother cut her off again. Her voice firm. Now, Aurora, leave. The silence that followed was heavy. Aurora's eyes darted between us, disbelief etched into her face. You'll regret this, she spat finally, before storming out, the door slamming behind her. Mother and I stood alone. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she stepped closer, her hand brushing my arm, tentative, fragile. I can't undo the years I let this happen, she whispered. But I can tell you this. You are not invisible. Not anymore. Tears burned my eyes, but I blinked them back. I nodded once, unable to speak. She pressed something into my hand, a small key. Your grandmother's townhouse. It's been locked. For years, but it's yours now. A place to begin again. My fingers closed around the key, its weight grounding me. Mother's eyes shone with unshed tears. Go, Celeste. Leave before they find new ways to cage you. Claim your freedom, please. I swallowed hard. Will you be all right? Her smile was small, sad. I chose my silence a long time ago, but you don't have to. I wanted to say more, but words failed. Instead, I embraced her cord at first, then tighter, clinging to the mother I had always wanted. When we pulled apart, her hands lingered on my face, and for the first time, I felt her truly see me. 2 weeks later, I stood in the dusty living room of the townhouse. Sunlight filtered through tall windows, illuminating shelves lined with forgotten books, the faint scent of lavender lingering in the air. It wasn't grand like the mansion. The walls needed repainting, the floors creaked, and the garden outside had grown wild, but it was mine. For the first time in my life, the space around me felt like possibility. I set my folder on the old oak desk and opened my laptop. My teams. Faces filled the screen as I joined the call voices, bright, hopeful, alive. We're ready, one of them said. Whenever you are, I smiled, my heart steady. Then let's begin. No Montclair logos hovered in the background. No family name stamped the project. Just us, our work, our future. Months passed. Our research took shape, funded not by the Montclairs, but by grants, partners, and allies who believed in the vision. My name, my full name, appeared on publications, on conference programs, on the lips of colleagues who valued the work for what it was. Aurora tried once to reclaim the spotlight, launching a glossy initiative of her own, but the shine had dulled. Whispers followed her now about truth, about credit, about the cracks in the Montclair facade. Father tightened his grip on the family empire, doubling down on control, but the more he raged, the smaller his kingdom seemed, and Mother she visited. Sometimes, quietly, without announcement. We sat in the garden of the townhouse, sipping tea, talking not of legacy, but of life. Our conversations were fragile, tentative, but they were ours. One evening, after a long day at the lab, I walked back through the garden as the sun set. The townhouse windows glowed with warm light, the roses climbing higher along the walls. I paused at the gate, looking back at the path I had taken. For so long, I had lived as a shadow, painted into the background of someone else's story. But shadows are not empty. They are proof of light, and now I had stepped fully into it. I no longer needed the Montclair name. I had my own, and it would not be erased.